In this forecast, all modes of severe weather will be possible across portions of the United States today, and the tropics are heating up quickly as we head into September. There are 4 areas of development, which one could become a tropical storm by as early as this week. Your entire forecast is coming right up. Let's first begin with that severe weather potential for today. There is currently a slight risk of severe weather. It does include Minnesota and western Wisconsin. There's also a marginal threat that goes all the way back down through eastern Nebraska. There's also another marginal threat through areas like Chicago. Main concerns today, though, across the slight risk region in Minnesota will be damaging winds upwards of 70 miles per hour. We could also see some tennis ball sized hail with a couple of storms, and as well as a few tornadoes. Here's a look at that tornado potential for today. There is currently a 5% chance within a 25-mile radius of a tornado or two. That would primarily be across areas northwest of Minneapolis. So we're kind of looking between Fargo and Minneapolis. It is going to be with those initial storms, probably between about 5 to 9 o'clock tonight. This area here has the best chance for maybe a tornado or two. Outside of there, we could also see maybe a low-end tornado potential that does go all the way back through northern Iowa. And it also includes areas like Minneapolis, all the way as far east as areas in western Wisconsin. And we also have a chance for some very significant hailstone sizes tonight. They could get as high as tennis ball to baseball sized hail. That would primarily, again, be off to the northwest of Minneapolis, in between basically along and north of Interstate 94 is our best potential for some significant hail, again, as large as potentially baseball sized hail. Here's a look at that timing across Minnesota. Beginning with 5 o'clock this afternoon, we will begin to see a line of storms develop. It's going to be primarily beginning probably back up in Canada, but some storms may stretch into portions of Minnesota. Eventually by 6 to 7 o'clock, that line will begin to shift further down to the south, potentially producing all modes of severe weather, including, again, damaging winds, large to very large hail, and again, a few tornadoes may occur. Eventually, by about 8 to 9 o'clock, those storms continue to march to the east. Eventually, by about midnight or so, the storms are likely going to be hitting areas like Minneapolis all the way back through Duluth, and eventually going into the overnight hours, that line will start to fall apart as it heads into Wisconsin. Here's a look at the other severe risk area today. That would be areas in the Midwest. Beginning with about 4 to 5 o'clock, we'll see storms marching toward Chicago. Most of these will just be regular, ordinary storms, but a couple of them may become strong or marginally severe, producing damaging wind gusts and maybe some isolated quarter to $half sized hail. By about 6 to 7 o'clock, storms may be going through areas like Chicago, eventually going in closer to the late evening and overnight hours. Most of that shower and storm activity will fizzle out by then. And you may be wondering, why are we seeing severe weather all of a sudden, and why is it so significant today? Well, it's because of this negatively tilted trough back up to the north. Here's a look at the jet stream, and here's a look at your trough here that's negatively tilted. We've not seen one of these in weeks, if not even, maybe even months. It's been a while since we've seen one of these, but typically negatively tilted troughs have more spin, allowing for potentially some more tornado threats, and as well as even an increased amount of severe weather. It is a fairly strong trough, though, and it will continue to march off to the east, eventually going towards New England by midweek. So it might even bring some severe weather back up into the northeast, but this cold front will extend all the way back through even Texas. So it's going to bring some pretty significant rainfall to some areas, and as well as a decent cool down, especially even to areas like the Midwest and Ohio Valley. By the way, the tropics are heating up very quickly. We currently have 4 areas of development right now in the Atlantic Ocean. I'm going to give you a breakdown in each one, specifically beginning from east to west. We do have a little area of development. It's going to be coming off the Africa coast. Not a whole lot of storm activity. It's back out to the east right now. But this area has a 20% chance of developing over the next 5 days. So a long-term potential there. However, we have a much more important system to look at here. This one has a 70% chance of developing over the next 5 days. And all these lines represent different computer models, bring it to a different location. Almost all of them are currently bringing it probably towards maybe even Florida or even the Bahamas. So definitely an area to watch for very closely. Again, I'll give you a bit more of a breakdown on that one here in just a moment. We also have another Invest. This is Invest 92 back up just 600 miles east of Bermuda. Has about a 10% chance of developing over the next 48 hours. It's a very short-term development area, but as of right now, not a whole lot of thunderstorm activity there. Back over to the west, we do have a little area of development still in the Caribbean. It has not really any storm activity organization, but it does still have a 20% chance of developing over the next 5 days, so it's more of a long-term potential as of right now with this one. Here's a look at the computer models, beginning with the GFS model. This computer model specifically has not been overly accurate long-term this year, but it is one to keep in mind because it is showing very similar signs to other computer models as well. So beginning with this one on Thursday, you can start to see your low-pressure system beginning to form, and it's obviously going to strengthen most likely just to the northeast of the Lesser Antilles. Eventually going into the following weekend into early next next week, it starts to quickly strengthen and move west, and you can eventually see the GFS model really brings us to a category 1 or 2 hurricane, potentially near the Bahamas. From there, where does it go? Will it even get to this intensity? Still a lot of question marks. We'll keep you updated with the latest on that. Here's a look at the European model, which has been showing similar signs. However, in the latest run, it is showing a bit more of a weaker tropical storm, or maybe even up to a moderate tropical storm. So not nearly as strong, but you eventually see this low pressure system moving towards areas like the Bahamas and eventually getting very close to Florida. So that's why I'm kind of saying it looks like it may go toward Florida, depending on where this other high pressure system does end up going in the Atlantic Ocean. Here's a look at the intensity guide, by the way. So if you want to know, what are other computer models showing, for example, there are a few that are bringing this back up to a category 1 or even a category 2 hurricane. However, the majority of them as of right now keeping it around a tropical storm. Obviously, these do change a lot once we get closer to something starting to develop and really form. As of right now, it's only at 30 miles per hour sustained wind, so it's still far away from developing into anything beyond just an invest. We'll have to watch this system very closely over the next several days. Make sure to hit the like button down below, subscribe if you've not already. This forecast is brought to you by Platinum Contracting and All Dense Repair.